Hi, food friends. It's Kevin and
Marianne.
She's on the camera for right now. Listen, this is our dressing episode, and what we're going to do is tonight I'm just making the cornbread for the dressing, which I'll actually make tomorrow. But can't have cornbread dressing without cornbread. So here's what I'm going to do. Honey, come on over here a little closer. So what I'm making is I got 3 boxes here of cornbread mix. Now you can use your favorite brand, whatever it is, Jiffy Mix, what have you, whatever you have on hand. So I've got 3 boxes. So basically I'm making a triple recipe. And for each box, we get 3 eggs. 2, 3. So what I'll do is make this cornbread tonight. And actually, when you're making dressing, it's usually customary that the bread that you're using be dried out a little bit because you want it to absorb the broth and all those things that you're going to add to it tomorrow. So we've got a cup of water, 3 eggs, and 3 boxes of cornbread mix. To that, you get a spatula here. We're going to bring it together just like you would if you're just making regular cornbread. But the thing that I want to do is actually season this cornbread as it's baking. So you can actually in the supermarket you can find seasoned cornbread or seasoned breadcrumbs this time of year for making dressing. And that's what we're going to make. We're going to make seasoned cornbread that's specifically seasoned with kind of those Thanksgiving flavors. So here's what I'm going to put in. We're going to put in a teaspoon of, this is garlic powder. And I'm going to put in a teaspoon of onion powder. I'm going to put in a half a teaspoon of poultry seasoning. And then another half a teaspoon of just sage. There's sage in the poultry seasoning along with rosemary and thyme and some other stuff. But I like a nice sagey flavor in my dressing. Then I'm going to put in a half a teaspoon of black pepper. And you know what? We will throw in pinch of salt. Okay? So here we go. Now we're just going to mix all that together, and this will give us our nicely seasoned cornbread. Thank you. Got a 9x13 here, okay, that we sprayed with just a non-stick spray like Pam. Going to put in our batter. Now what I like to do is before I put this right in the oven, I'm going to kind of let this hang out for about 5 minutes. Cornbread is sort of a quick bread, so it uses like baking powder or soda for its leavening. And I want kind of that chemical reaction to get...
So it get poofy.
Poofy, exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this on the counter. I'm going to get things washed up, and by the time I'm done, we'll stick it in a 400-degree oven and get our cornbread baked for our cornbread dressing. The cornbread batter is sat about 5 minutes. We're going to put it in the oven. So 400 degrees, and it goes. 20 to 25 minutes. It should be ready. We'll check it at 20 and take it out if it's ready, or leave it in for a few. You want it nice and golden brown on the top. Okay? Okay, we've been in about 25 minutes. And looky here. Oh, it smells good too.
Yes,
You're
it does.
Really getting those, the poultry seasoning, the sage, the garlic and onion. So, we've got our seasoned cornbread. We're going to let it cool and let it hang out overnight. Tomorrow we'll chop that up and that'll be the base for our cornbread stuffing for Thanksgiving, or really anytime you want to make it. So, see you tomorrow. Okay, hi everybody, it's Kevin.
And Ralph behind the camera.
And we are back. This is day 2 of our dressing adventure here. And yeah, the kitchen's different as well, because I baked the cornbread last night in my kitchen, and now we're at Ralph's house, and we're going to put it all together. So what we've got here is I've got an electric skillet. You could certainly use a stovetop skillet. I've browned a stick of butter. And to that stick of butter, we're going to add our onions and celery. So I've got about 2 cups of each. 2 cups of diced celery, leaves and all, and onions as well. About 2 cups.
Have you seasoned them up yet?
I have not. We're going to do that right now. I'm going to put a little salt and a little pepper. And, you know, what we're trying to do is season everything that's going into our dressing, because dressing is supposed to really have a lot of flavor. And again, you know, it's sort of this long debate, stuffing or dressing. And we do dressing because we don't stuff our turkey. As a matter of fact, we cooked our turkey last week.
That makes sense.
So this is dressing. So what I'm going to do here is we want to get these vegetables soft. And we want that butter to just brown them up a little bit. And
smells good already.
Doesn't it? Smells like Thanksgiving.
How much butter did you say?
There was a stick. Okay. A stick of butter melted, and then 2 cups of chopped onions and 2 cups of chopped celery. So we're going to get this brown. We're going to let that do its thing. In the meantime, what we'll do is get our cornbread ready. So remember, this is what we made yesterday at my house. And what I'm going to do is just start kind of slicing this cornbread up in the pan into small cubes. And then we're going to kind of crumble it up a little bit too. If you remember, this is a really seasoned up cornbread. It's got poultry seasoning, onion powder, garlic powder, salt and pepper.
Yeah, Kevin let me smell it when he brought it over, and boy, it really smells delicious. And so it's going to make for a good dressing, aka stuffing.
That's right. So I'm going to just kind of make little cubes out of this.
It doesn't have to be too fancy, because it's going to be all smashed up into the dressing anyway, right?
That's exactly right. So we don't need to spend a lot of time, but it just does help. It's easier to cut it this way than outside of the pan, I find. So I'm going to finish that. We're going to brown up our vegetables in the butter that are going to go into our dressing, and then we'll come back and start putting everything together, okay? So it's the holidays. We're getting ready for our Thanksgiving family and friend extravaganza, and we're making dressing.
Hello, Detroit. Hello, Thanksgiving. We'll be right back.
See you in a minute. Here is our onions and celery. They sauteed in the butter for, I don't know, maybe about 15 minutes or so. And they are soft and tender. The celery still has a little bit of texture to it, but you can see they're nice and translucent and just beautiful. So, we've got our onions and celery. This is about a cup, 1 nice bunch of fresh chopped parsley. Now you could use curly or flat leaf, whatever your preference is. So we cut up our cornbread into cubes, and I took it out of the baking dish, and I have put it in this bowl. And you can see, part of it too is you want it to dry out a little bit so it had a chance to get some air to it. But here's our cornbread. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start just kind of putting things together. And my only thing is, Ralph, I hope this bowl is big enough.
Wow. Yeah, I've got another big bowl here if you need it. But
So,
I was gonna say this. So this is going in there.
yes. And I'm going to actually use my hands. You know what? Sometimes your hands are the best tool, right?
Well, like my grandpa always said, God invented fingers before forks.
That's right. Your grandpa was very right about that. So, okay, I'm just going to... I like to have, some chunks and some crumbs and some pieces in between.
Yeah,
So
you
I
don't want
think
things to be mushy, and you don't
No.
want it to be just too uniform.
I'm good with that. Okay, so here we go. So let's going to take our celery and our onions, and we're going to put that in. So again, we had a 9x13 pan of cornbread that I made last night that was sort of specifically seasoned for dressing. I'm loving the Cass Elliot, by the way, in the background, Ralph.
Yeah, we're just playing some good American music for Thanksgiving preparation. Switching in the kitchen, as our friend Ed Love used to say.
That's right. So we're going to take our parsley. We're going to put that in. Then I've got over here, I've got 3 eggs. And I'm just going to give those a quick little beat here. And we're going to put our eggs in there. This is going to help to sort of bind everything together when it's baking in the oven.
Okay.
Okay?
So you're going to put all your eggs in one basket, or bowl, as they say?
Yeah, that's what we're going for. Okay. So here's our eggs. 3 eggs.
So far the bowl seems to be big enough, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to be okay. Then I want a little extra seasoning. So this is poultry seasoning. I'm going to put in, about maybe a teaspoon or so of poultry seasoning. And this will kind of amp up what's already in the cornbread. And then some more sage. A couple teaspoons of rubbed sage.
Now, when we were up at the cottage, you had fresh sage in the garden,
Yes.
didn't you? Now, would that work for this type of thing, fresh
Sure,
sage?
absolutely.
Okay.
Just, like the parsley, you could put the sage in there. Now, chicken broth, okay? So, I'm going to incorporate our vegetables and spices and egg a little bit with our cornbread.
Boy, if I was doing that, it would be all over this kitchen. You are good with the mixing there, sir.
Well, that's why if you have a big enough bowl, it kind of helps catch some things.
But I notice you have a little trick. You're turning it as you're mixing it, and that's a good way to keep it from spilling all over the world.
Now you can see things are fairly well incorporated, but we don't want dry dressing, do we?
That's the worst.
That's the worst. We want it moist.
So now
you're adding... I love this song. Okay.
So now you're adding your chicken broth to the well-mixed ingredients of the dressing.
And this is something that I've got a 32-ounce container of chicken broth, and this is the low-sodium chicken broth, which I prefer because I like to have a little bit more control over the salt content of my stuff. Now you can see
it's starting to kind of come
together. I'm probably going to end up using the whole thing. And that's the other reason why you want your cornbread, or even if you're using regular bread, to be on the dry side, because the drier your bread is, the more it's going to suck in all that broth and flavoring from your other ingredients.
The drier it is too, I think the less mushy it is.
So, yes. Okay. There it is. So, I'm going to take a casserole dish. This is a ceramic casserole. You could use a glass baking dish, Pyrex, whatever you have on hand. I'm going to give it a little shot here with the nonstick spray. Anyways, my grandma used to make wonderful dressing, and she put pork sausage in her dressing. This is, and which you could do. You could brown up a pound of bulk pork sausage, and that kind of has a sagey flavor to it.
But this is strictly vegetarian.
This is right. I mean, other than the chicken broth. Now you could also use
a vegetable
broth, which is probably what I'll do for Thanksgiving at home this year, because I will have a couple non-meat eaters there. So we're going to just give this a wrap. I have preheated the oven to 350 degrees. And
I don't have a cool old-fashioned stove like Kevin.
that's okay.
But it does have a light.
It does have a light. In it goes.
350, all right.
350 for about 45 minutes. And we come back, we'll have our dressing.
That's it.
That's it. Timer went off, so we're going in. Gonna bring it out. So, here we go.
It's been about 45 minutes.
It's been 45 minutes at 350 degrees. And of course, you know, one could make this in advance if you wanted to, and hold it in the, oh yeah, you could hold it in the fridge before putting it in the oven, and then Thanksgiving Day, just put it in 45 minutes or an hour before you're ready to serve. There it is. Isn't that beautiful? So,
Sure is.
cornbread dressing. So anyways, from all of us to all of you, we hope you have a wonderful and beautiful Thanksgiving with your family, friends, whoever you spend it with.
Have a great one. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.